Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me live for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I am excited to have a connection with me today. I have Mike O'Connor. We have been connected, I want to say, since 2018. And this is the first time that we are actually live together on video. So he is all about networking and blogging with the community. We'll find out a little bit more about that as we go on. But before we get started with some great conversation, we had to start a few minutes early, y'all, because we got to talking. We're like, we can say that on the show. We can say that on the show. So I am going to turn the mic over to Mike for a few minutes for him to introduce himself.
Hi, LaChelle. I appreciate you. Actually, I think it's one of the first times we've actually ever spoke in all the years we've been
Right.
connected. I think you sent me a message and just asked me, via messaging if I would do it. And quite frankly, I run the serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com. I'm bad at introducing myself, for as bad of a shameless promoter as I am. I always mess up these podcasts and live stream experiences because I never say, hey, this is Mike O'Connor with serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com, which is a
Mm-hmm.
social media website and a blogging platform that helps everybody, whether you're an entrepreneur, somebody who wants to be a social media influencer, everybody get more views if you use the site. I'm going to talk a little bit about how my site works, how you can take the things I do for free and apply it to what you do and improve what you're doing. So not only can you use my website and tap into my professional network, which has like tens of thousands of people, especially on LinkedIn, we're kind of big,
Yeah.
shameless self-promoter, I told you. But you can tap into my network, a couple clicks, 20 seconds of your time, right? You can share stuff on my site. It automatically goes to Twitter, automatically goes to a few different places. I give away all my secrets, But when you share stuff, and we'll talk a little bit about that, there's a benefit to you. I share a lot of things. I think that's probably why you had me on this little show, is because I'm active. I'm always
Yeah.
out in front of people, right?
Yeah.
And I try to give out the thunder. I try to tell people, answer questions. And you said we're going live here, right? So people can tune in, ask us questions if
Right.
you want.
They need to get on
So
this.
I,
Golden opportunity. I'm with
I'm
it.
an open book. So people want to ask me about my criminal past or lack thereof. We can talk about that. We can talk about religion, politics, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever you want to. There's no limits to what I will talk about. Okay. So
Well,
just want to let you know that.
I love that. So, we got connected, I want to say like in 2018. That's like when I really was getting started with LinkedIn. And, that's one thing I like about being able to go back in your messages and find out. So, the thing that really impressed me that got us here today was that I had made a post and you made a comment. I responded to the comment, and then you, went to, I think it was my YouTube, and you subscribed or something, and you gave me some tips about how I should be adding to my description. So we just kind of had this
I totally didn't even
back
think
and
about
forth.
that.
Yeah, so we had this back and forth for some time. And I think that is great. So do you do that with every connection, when it comes to going
I
that extra mile, like what you did?
I've always been a talker, right? And a
Mm-hmm.
listener since I was a little kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was 6 or 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would be the kid that walked off to talk to the old neighbor because I
Okay.
knew the old person down the street probably had something they could tell me about later in life, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
have some of my biggest life moments happen when I was 6 years old, just asking strangers questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you get that type of advice or impact at a young age from a random stranger, it builds you up and it encourages you to not be afraid to ask questions or say hi to people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been everywhere. Like I've lived in, upper white class neighborhoods. I've been in the toe of the ghetto. I've been homeless on a beach. So,
Wow.
my journey has been ups and downs. I've
Mhm,
had times where I've employed hundreds of people. I've had
mhm,
times when I couldn't find a job, right?
mhm,
I've had times where I've been taken advantage of, especially with marketing, digital marketing, advertisement.
mhm,
When I was
mhm.
18 years old, before September 11th, kind of put our carpet cleaning business out of business.
Yeah.
Uh, we had 101 people, most of them kids we went to high school with, working for us, and we had $5 million a year coming in from carpet cleaning. We were
Mhm,
spending a lot of money on advertisement. So I learned about advertisement, marketing, when you're getting lied to, at a pretty young age. And more than once, several times actually, I've been lied to and just didn't pay attention to the red flags, and
Mhm.
wound up spending a lot of time, money, aggravation that you don't have to give. You know what I mean? Because like if you're an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, right, or a small business, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I tend to
No,
do that
you're
when
doing
people ask me
great.
questions. Uh, you have so much on your plate, and we can't be
Mhm.
masters of everything, right? Like,
Right.
you're good at what you're good at. I mean, you could
Mhm.
probably raise a kid better than I can. You got 15 freaking kids. I can barely take
They're
care of myself.
raising me. That's the secret. They're raising me.
Well, that's kind of the way I look at life. See, I think that's why we get along, is because we think a lot alike. Because
Mhm.
everybody you meet can teach you something. Everybody you meet
Amen.
can teach you, and you never know. And you can flip that on both sides.
Mhm.
Anything you say to somebody else can impact them for the rest of their lives. Right?
Yes.
I love me some kids. I love kids. Like, not in a
Mhm.
weird way, but I like kids, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes they bug the hell out of me. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Right.
They challenge my patience to no end. And adults that act like kids are even worse. I mean, so if you
Right.
see me having temper tantrums, or getting banned on LinkedIn because I told somebody to go jump in a lake, well, I don't have the patience I need to. And
Mhm.
that's one thing I like about social media, is because if you're active on it, you're gonna learn a little bit about patience, right?
I
And
love
when I send you those messages, or when I send people messages, some of my best friends nowadays online, some of my best social media buddies, I just send them a random weird message like "nice beard," right? Because when I saw this post, I thought you had a nice beard. I'm like,
it.
I wish I could.
Mm.
I get itchy, scruffy, like,
Right.
so I just sent to do a nice beard, right? And it's kind of
Mhm.
a weird. I don't want to make the comment like "nice beard," like I'm hitting on the guy and his. So I just, said, "Hey man, just want to let you know you're rocking that." And you know what? We're friends now. He engages in my
Yeah.
stuff all the time. I help him out. He helps me out. It's great, right? So when
Mhm.
I see somebody who like doesn't do their description right on YouTube, or I mean, like, you do a lot of work in your videos, right?
Yeah,
You
you told
schedule
me that.
stuff. People don't
Yeah.
show up on time, or they
Yeah.
ramble, or I mean, like, people don't respect the work and drive that goes into this stuff. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
when I look at somebody, I'm like, man, LaChelle's working hard. She's America's supermom. 15
Mhm.
kids? 15? I
Mhm.
can't even count that high. It just drives me nuts, right? So when I see somebody who's out there working their asses off, right,
Mhm.
to provide for 15 kids, I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, I got a little bit of knowledge that can help this lady. What does it hurt me to take the time to send it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is what you got to do. You know what I mean? Because I've
I
already
love
learned that.
that.
You know what I mean?
And,
I think,
and one of the things that really stands out is, you see people actively doing something and you're noticing this. And this is where a lot of people stop themselves from the very beginning and they just don't go with it. They talk themselves out of it. They were around the wrong crowd or whatever. But what I got from what you said is that people were actively taking the steps to do whatever, and you're just helping them along the way. Now, we do have some questions coming in. We have Sherry who says, we're getting into the business side. So they're ready to go. How does a business benefit by being on several platforms?
oh, first of all, I gotta give you a disclaimer, right?
Okay.
Shirley Lally is my girl. She's like my first sponsor on Service Professionals Network. She has gondolahairnet.com. I didn't make her website. I help her with some things on it, right? She has a really cool invention. Like, you ever see the carts, the big dumpsters with wheels in like hospitals and construction
Yeah.
sites?
Mm-hmm.
She made a flexible cover that goes over the top of that, right?
Oh.
And I helped her rank number one on like tilt truck covers and stuff like that. So a lot of people don't
Oh.
know that, like, I do a little bit of SEO nerd stuff, right?
Mhm,
Like, on the side, and she's my friend. So when she's asked me about business benefit being on, so like, that's not like a loaded question, right? Like, she's
mhm.
literally trying to, like, she has me answer these questions because, like, she's figuring out how to make gondola hairnets, and she's got other inventions that she's working on. I
Right.
can't even tell you about because she hasn't got the pan. I mean, the lady's super smart, right? But it goes back to what
Mhm,
we were talking about earlier. We only
mhm,
know what we know and what we focus on, right?
mhm,
So I handle the business side. So to answer her question, okay, why you should benefit on several platforms, which is a fantastic question, okay?
mhm.
Because one, branding, right? The more you're in front of people, the more they see you're a good person, like with our funny hats and our smiles, right? Every time they see you and you're in front of somebody, they're forming an opinion on you, right? Like, I almost didn't
Mm.
shave today. But like I was saying, I don't grow a good beard. I look like a jerk. So I'm like, I got to shave. I got to show these people the dimples. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit of branding, right? And by coming out here in the show, I'm helping you get a little bit more views. I'm exposing my buddy Ira, Sherry. You know, I'm going to put you on LinkedIn, right? So I'm helping you, right?
Right.
But it's also branding, because here I am. I got 47,000 followers on LinkedIn. You know, I'm just being real with it. You know, I'm just
I'm honored. I mean,
I
I feel
got
like I have a real celebrity in the house here. So
no, you
right.
got a real obnoxious guy with a lot of energy with the heart for people, right? I just don't care. Like, I'm not selling mortgages. I'm not selling
Right.
homes, right? What I'm selling is relationship building, right?
Yes.
Because I believe that you should be on several platforms, because I get traffic from every platform. I
Mm-hmm.
get new members onto the Service Professionals Network from every
Mm-hmm.
platform every day. And
Mm-hmm.
I use different strategies on every platform. I've been suspended from so many different platforms because I can't help it. I argue with the pedophile guys. I argue with the politician guys. Like, if you just step out of the lane, I'm going to say too much. So you might see me doing more posts and less commenting on stuff, right?
You did
Uh,
great.
because you have to be on every thanks buddy, you have to be on every platform in some way, right? If somebody's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't use Twitter, I don't use Instagram,
Okay.
all I'm hearing is you're turning yourself off to those millions of people, right? And almost
Mm-hmm.
everybody has the same cop out, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of like me being a little bit fat. I can say like, oh, I don't have time for the gym, I don't have time to eat right, right?
Right.
But I keep stuff real. I like my
Mm-hmm.
carbs. I like the ice cream. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like doing sit-ups and crunches and yoga. Like, yoga outfits I can be a fan of. It's cool. I like it when people stretch, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
me, I don't do the splits anymore. I got beat up as an MMA cage fighter for 20 years. My activity level is down. My social media activity is up, right? Even making these obnoxious off-color jokes, building a brand, right? Because
Yeah.
if you mix it up, right, with information, being weird, you know what I mean? People are figuring me
Humor
out.
is memorable. I like that.
People are figuring me out, right? And what are they going to
Yeah.
say about me, LaChelle? Oh, Mike's an idiot. He says he smokes pot, or he swears, or he does. Everybody already knows, because I do
Well,
it
they're gonna
everywhere.
think that you're entertaining, and that's good because people wanna be entertained, but also educated at the same time, so I love that mix. Now,
Well, you
so
know,
how
this is just how I am throughout the day, right?
that's
Like,
good stuff, though.
I made a website, right? If you think
Mhm,
about it, and to explain to people why I do what I do, right?
mhm.
I didn't make the website so that way I could just get people to my website and make money and blah blah. I did it so I could monetize what I'm already doing, because I need a job. I need to get off my
Mhm.
brother's couch. I need to pay my taxes, right? Like, there's things I got to do. So I'm like, man, I can't just go around helping people, because like, I was a good salesperson for a long period of time, selling everything from mortgages. I sold a few businesses on LinkedIn. I raised
Mhm.
$700,000 for a non-for-profit. Did you know I had an orphanage in Guinea I was donating money to in
I
2000?
saw that you were doing some work with that, but I haven't really
Life
explored
moments,
deeply.
you know, had to move me away from that. I'm going to try to use Service Professionals Network as I grow to get back into that type of giving, right?
Mhm,
So it's part of the reason why I'm out there. But I still get back to her questions, why you should be on every platform. One, branding. You know, the more you're in front
mhm.
of people, the more they see you, the more they start to, you got to be comfortable with this, right? Some people
Mhm.
aren't going to like you, LaChelle, no matter
Right,
what. You know,
right.
you're black, you're female, you got a funny hat, you're prepared to smile, you got confidence enough to come and talk, and you got that dumb Michael Connor guy on your show. Like, there's so many things not to like about you if you're that type of
Mhm.
person, right?
Right.
But like, think about like every celebrity you've ever met, right? You know, just being regular people, we're just like, you know, it's got to be so great to be a celebrity. And when they complain about their life, you know, we're like, oh, they're a celebrity, you know, they're famous,
Mhm,
they get free steak dinners, you know. We just think about like the good parts, right?
mhm,
But on their side of the coin is like, they don't get any peace. You know, there's always a pro and con trade off to everything, right?
mhm.
And I think the biggest thing that sets people back is they're afraid to just say what they think as they think it in the moment, you know, and just call a spade a spade. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I
This
mean?
is
Like,
true.
everybody's so afraid of cancel culture. God forbid I acknowledge that I'm a white guy and you're a black lady. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
It's so true.
just saying that, 20 people want me canceled. You know what I mean? So I get a lot of grief for everything that I do, right? Some
Mhm.
people will tell you I'm a racist, some people will tell you I'm a homophobe, some people will tell you I'm this and that. Everybody's got an opinion. Why? Because I'm everywhere. Because it makes sense, right?
I love that.
Almost every person I talk to, whether they follow me or not, right? I mean, what's the
Mm-hmm.
first thing you do when you meet somebody and they're kind of interesting? You don't even know that they do social media, right?
Right.
You might look them up on Instagram. You might look them up on Facebook, right? I'll
Mm-hmm.
admit, sometimes I mess with people, right? Like, I'm a fat old white dude, right? I got like 6,000 Instagram followers, mainly thanks to Ira Bowman giving me some tips. Bowman Digital Media. And the
Okay.
guy's, dude's got 100-something thousand followers on Instagram, okay? He's
Well,
got
thanks, Ira, for
200,000 on
watching.
LinkedIn. Huh?
I said I was telling him thanks for watching.
Oh, dude, he's my boy. You know, me and
Mm-hmm.
him, he's my win-win networking ride or die, right? So I learned something on Twitter, I tell Ira. Ira learned something on, Instagram, he tells me, right? So Ira
Mm-hmm.
gets a customer on LinkedIn where he's got to build their company page. If I see that company page, I'm following it. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
comment on it. I'm going to engage on it. So if you're Ira's customer, not only are you going to get help from his 200,000 followers, you're going to get help from SPN. You know what I mean? And like, so you know what the cool is? So on my website, if you share stuff on my website in the activity feeds, free site to
Mm-hmm.
join, right? It automatically goes to Twitter. So let's some of your YouTube videos, right? You make these good videos, you have a great conversation, nobody sees it because of the algorithm, SEO results, some of the things you couldn't be doing better, quite frankly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. You go share it on my site, you automatically got like the thousands of SPN people looking at it, right? Then it automatically goes to Twitter. And then Ira and I, we call it ping pong, right? We play ping
Mm-hmm.
pong in the comments with each other. And there's like, if you go to my Twitter account, there's dozens of people I do this with. I do it on LinkedIn. I do it everywhere. And I see Sherry, I see Cindy, that's another reason why you should be on every platform, right?
That's
Because you
good.
never know when you're going to make that next friend who jives with what you're doing. He's like, hey, LaChelle, I want to be part of your tribe. So people are like, why are you going on
Mm-hmm.
her show? You never even talked to her in person? Like, how do you know she's cool? How do you know she's worth helping? Right? Well, one, I watched a couple of her videos. Like I told you, I
Right.
watched a couple of your videos before I came on the show today. If they
Mm-hmm.
sucked or if I thought you were obnoxious, I'm like, sorry, LaChelle, I'm not feeling so good. Got heartburn. Panic attack. You know what I mean? But then I watch your stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go on your show, talk as long as she wants me to talk, about whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of my friends, okay,
Mm-hmm.
sucked at Twitter. Some of them sucked on Instagram. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them sucked on LinkedIn, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you get one guy who's good here, one girl that's good there. The next thing you know, you got a posse who's good everywhere, right?
Right.
So I got people on Twitter that got 300,000 or 400,000 followers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're maybe not so big on LinkedIn. Well, now they're growing on LinkedIn and I'm growing on Twitter. That's what win-win networking is all about. That's what
I
I do.
love that.
So people are like, oh, you just help people to get people to your site. Damn right.
Yeah.
Damn
And,
right.
and this is a good thing because see, people don't know how to collaborate. You mentioned win-win networking. And I learned this with Dr. Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI. That's like the
Oh man, I gotta read more. Like I
largest.
keep hearing about him. I keep hearing just
Well,
too
I'll
busy.
connect you guys.
Oh, I think Ira's in that too. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
but BNI is just infamous now, because networking wasn't what it is today when he was out, when he came up with BNI. So the point is it's about win-win. It's not about one person monopolizing whatever, but the thing about it is a lot of people have fear and don't really know how to collaborate. So you mentioned win-win. That's a great thing
Why
that
do
a
you
lot
think
of
people
people need
have
to
the
learn.
fear?
How do you make that win-win?
I'll get
What
that,
is
but
the key component to that?
why do you think the people have the fear though?
Well, they feel like, you're going to take my customers or clients or
Trauma.
steal my ideas. Yeah,
Trauma.
that's true.
Trauma. Think
Trauma.
about it. Every single one of us, we might all have different trauma, different
Mhm.
levels of trauma, right?
Mhm.
But every person you talk about or every person you talk to or meet in life, right,
Mhm.
gets the same decisions to make every day. Do I live based off my fear and my trauma? Or do I own that crap and move forward? Right? You
Mhm.
know, and the way I look at it, I have a lot of trauma, maybe not as much as you, right?
Mhm.
But I want to win. I need to win. I need to pay my
Mhm.
bills, right?
Mhm.
This guy Bill bothers me every month with his 30 friends, right? My brother wants me off the couch. Got to get a car. Got to pay my taxes. Got to get some dental work done, and got to get my own haircut, right? I mean, there's always something that we all need, right?
Mhm.
Most people are afraid to get taken advantage of because they've seen the horror stories or they've lived
Mhm.
through them, right?
Mhm.
And I make the decision every day. Like I'm going through stuff right now. I'm not going to badmouth people. I'm not going to badmouth companies, right? But I'm always
Mhm.
going through stuff just like everybody else where you're like, oh, that's
Right.
not what I was told, right?
Right.
Old Mike, 2015 Mike, part of the reason why I got, internet famous in some areas, right, is because I would just
Mhm.
go out and just, trauma dump and tell everybody about it and tell
Mm.
everybody that person sucks and this is why they suck, right?
Mhm.
Nobody needs that. I don't need that. That's the biggest thing
Mhm.
I learned, right? Is you can warn people without living through the trauma again,
Mm.
right?
That's good
So
stuff.
I can sit here, I can complain about how LaChelle did me dirty, right? And then I
Mhm.
can be like bad math LaChelle and just bad example. Somebody else. We'll say
But
fine.
I get the point.
You're right. Well, I
I don't
want
mind.
people
Hey,
to watch this 30
people have
second
to
clip. You know what I mean? You know, and people look, people are like 6 months from now, right? You're gonna be like, I heard you were talking crap about LaChelle. You were on a show, you're telling people. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And then
That
they'll
is
send
how
me that
people get stuff
6 second
mixed
clip.
up. That's so true. You're
Huh?
right. You are right. That is so true.
Like the Joe Rogan thing, right? Are you familiar with what he got in
Yeah.
trouble for? Right?
I've heard, different versions. I don't watch the
He
news
was saying
or
the N word,
get on that.
saying the
Yeah.
N word, N word,
Yeah.
N word, right? They show
Mhm.
a couple clips. I'm like, context, probably shouldn't say it. Pretty dumb, right?
Right.
Then he makes a statement about Planet of the Apes or something like that, right?
They put it together. Is
No,
that what
like
happened?
if you read if you actually watch the clip of his Planet of the Apes, right? As a
Uh-huh.
white dude, as a black dude, no matter what dude color I was, right? It is cringeworthy. You'd be like, damn, Joe, like that's bad. Like, how high were you that day?
Wow.
Like, why would you like? I've never made a Planet of the Apes. Like he said something like, we got out of the car and we thought we were, Planet of the Apes, something like that, right?
That's
Like
crazy.
there's no defending that, right?
Mhm.
And here's the thing. I can understand if people feel a certain kind of way about that.
Mhm.
Totally get it. Right? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Do we cancel the dude forever? Does that make him racist or did he say something stupid in the moment? Right?
Right.
Because I tell you what, man, I've seen some of my black friends, I've seen some of my white friends, I've seen them all worked up. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you live with people of different color, I've been pulled over because I had a black guy in the car several
Yeah.
times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Several times.
Yeah.
They told me this is why you're getting pulled over. What's with the black guy? What do you mean? What's with the black guy? You know what I mean? Like, you
It's
know,
true. I said that is true. And I love that you're bringing this up because people forget about us being human first.
we're
And
all
I
human.
I talk about this all the time because I have 10 kids that still live at home. So one person is always going to be victimizing somebody or dealing
Are
with
any of them
something.
43?
Say that again?
Are any of your kids 43 living at home? No, I was kidding.
No. Yeah, they're
if
not.
they
But
start making a social media site, get
they're
nervous,
over
Michelle.
18 though. I mean, if they leave and come back. So there's some kind of
I
thing
did
with
after
that
my
if
divorce.
you know.
You
Mhm.
know, am I making a little bit of sense though? And I'm
You're
sorry if
making a lot of sense.
I got ADHD and I just go
I mean, it
mountain.
makes sense because I think a lot of people feel like I was part of that. I felt like I had to be perfect. I had to say all the right answers. That
Do you
was
know
part of
why?
my journey.
Because that's what
People pleasing.
95% of the people like me are saying. You
Mhm.
got to do nothing but positivity. I call it toxic positivity, right?
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
told me to be authentic. They told me to keep it real. And then
Mhm.
when I started being authentic and keeping it real, everybody got mad at me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And to answer your question, all right, to get back to the win-win, okay,
Mhm.
because I don't want to avoid your question here, right? Um, if I think about it like everybody else, and I'm not trying to sound more pretentious than I am here when I say that, but the
Mhm.
majority of the people, okay,
Mhm.
look at it as when they interact with LaChelle, they think about what do I need from her? How am I going to get it?
Mhm.
What do I want? Right?
Mhm.
When I came to your YouTube channel, it's
Mhm.
because something brought me there, right?
Mhm.
But once I'm there, which is hard to do because I got the ADHD, I had it before it was popular.
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
that before it was a name. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I had Ritalin as a kid. I used to have a pyramid on a shoebox lid. You know what I mean?
Wow.
They told me I was mentally retarded. I had a
Wow.
major speech impediment. They told me I would never make a living writing or communicating or talking.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've heard it
We've
all.
had a lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have had that go on. That's crazy.
So, I mean, you can cry about it, you can get traumatized, or you can say, how am I going to help the next person? Right.
Mhm.
And like Ira, Sherry, these people are showing up because like they're a lot like me and you.
Mhm.
They've been through trauma, but they're
Mhm.
not interested in just moving forward and paying their bills until they die or accomplishing what other people think is success, right?
Mhm.
So many people measure success, okay, by how much money you sold. You can see it in their headlines, like, "Oh, I did 5 million in business," right?
Right.
Like, I rather have I helped 5 million people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
To me,
Mhm.
that's like way cooler, right?
Yeah.
When I die, it could be today, tomorrow, 10 years from now, right?
Mhm.
I don't really care about my legacy because, like, unless you're Napoleon or does somebody like something like really like world changing. I mean, think about what Putin's doing in Ukraine. Think about how messed
Mhm.
up that is, right? This
Mhm.
dude, sure, he hates Ukrainians and genocide, right? But everybody in their mind, everybody is out of their mind if they don't think that's all about legacy. That dude
Mhm.
wants to be in history books just like Stalin. He doesn't care if it's evil, doesn't care if half the people hate him because he's already been hated for so long. That doesn't bother him. He just
Mhm.
wants, after he's gone, he wants people to talk about him. That's what it comes down to, right?
Mhm.
So when I think about win-win networking and I come to your page, I think about how can I help LaChelle, right? Oh,
Mhm.
she's doing this, and this. I can give her this tip, this tip, this tip, and point her in this direction, right? To me, if somebody opens the door for me when I'm walking in a convenience store and they give me a smile, I like them a lot more than the guys like, hey, you want to buy this watch? No, get away from me. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, no, I don't want to buy your watch. I know what time it is. I got a cell phone. Right? You know,
Mhm.
and the way I look at it is if I go around and I help 10 people with random tips, right?
Mhm.
Nine of them might think this guy's a weirdo or a bozo or I didn't ask you or what are you trying to sell me? I'm still going to help those 9 people, right? That
Right.
one person's going to be like, damn, I've been trying to figure this out for a hot minute. You know what I mean? And they're going to be
Exactly.
like, I really like you. And then I don't have to be like, hey, you're going to join my site. No, they're just like, I'm going to check this dude out. You know what I mean? And sometimes, you know, I see somebody with like, 400 videos, right? And they're averaging
Mhm.
100 views per video. I make a comment, nothing. Make another comment a while later because I subscribe. So when they make their next video, I see it. I'm like, oh, this dude's still trying. Give
Yeah.
them another comment because I like them and I like what they're posting, right? And then it's how you build your brand and build your engagement. People are like, how do you get followers everywhere? And part of what Ira told me about Instagram is like, dude, you're not doing on Instagram what you do on LinkedIn. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, do you engage? Do you like stuff? I'm like, no, I don't. Well, guess what? I start just dropping random likes in my feeds. More people start liking my stuff. More people start following me.
I'm sorry about that. My grandson is come out of there, Aaliyah. Come out.
Huh? I'm on
Okay,
your
come out.
time. And you put the
Come out.
quarter in. I'll talk for an hour.
Okay. You want to say hi?
Hi.
I
What's
don't
his
know if
name?
you can see him. Leo. His first name is Adam, but we call him Leo.
Yeah, he has the hair like I have all over the
Mhm.
place when I was a kid.
Yeah, all over the place.
I didn't let nobody cut my hair.
He's in my closet doing who knows what. So
Oh, you
I
got
don't know.
yourself a surprise later.
No.
How old is he?
Gotta love it. That's the joys of children. You gotta appreciate their creativity. That's what I say.
I'm staying with my brother right now in Addison,
Mhm.
Illinois, right? He's
Mhm.
a weekend dad, he's got his own business, Second Chance Water Restoration.
Mhm.
It's like the biggest water restoration in Chicago, right? So on the
Mhm.
weekends, he's here with my 6-year-old nephew, or 7 now. I keep getting that wrong. I'm so bad.
Mhm.
I'll be calling him 7 when he's 8. And my niece.
Okay.
And you know what? I think surrounding yourself with kids every once in a while, where it can be like, kind of a pain and bothersome. I wouldn't trade
Mhm.
it, man. It makes you young. It keeps
It
you
does.
vitalized. I think they're good for my soul. You know what I
It
mean?
you know, it just helps you really kinda, uh, understand that life is not that serious, on a lot of things, and you can enjoy the moment and definitely be present, that's for sure.
You know, I don't want to say the person's name, right?
Mhm.
But a big part of the reason why I do what I do the way I do it, right? I want you on my site. I want you to click my ads. I want to
Mhm.
get sponsors, right? But
Mhm.
like I got into this I actually got on LinkedIn to raise money for an orphanage. That's the only reason I got on LinkedIn, right?
Wow.
But then I got on it. I was like, wow, you can do a lot of cool stuff. You can network with people. People are paying attention to what I, and then I'm like, oh, dopamine. I'm like, oh, people like what I have to say. So
Mhm.
I keep, and and I like the feedback. I'm going to tell you two stories if you don't mind.
Okay.
One of which I was helping some person. This one's recently, right?
Mhm.
And just being friendly, having random hours of conversations on the phone late at night,
Mhm.
just platonic friendship, no business, friends, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
A couple conversations over a couple months, and she's like, "Oh yeah, my sister or brother, going through this, right?" And you're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, that's terrible, right?" But this
Mhm.
whole time you're tired of it, they never comes up, right? And
Mhm.
then you're like thinking, "Wow, I'm really glad I helped that person." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
A few
Mhm.
years back, this is a while back now. Some lady called me because I used to put my phone number everywhere. It's still there. People can call me right off my website.
Mhm.
She called me and I could tell she was upset. Like I'm manic, I'm on the spectrum, right? So instantly she starts talking to me. I'm like, there is something a little bit off. How can I help this lady? Right?
Mhm.
Turns out I talked to her for like several hours, right?
Mhm.
And I just answered her questions. No idea who she was, right?
Mhm.
Couple months later, probably 6 months later, and I told this lady, give me a call back whenever you want. Right. A couple
Mhm.
months later, her sister called back and was like, hey, are you Mike? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, my
Mhm.
sister had you saved in your phone as my friend, and you're the only person listed in her phone. Can you
Wow.
talk to her again? I'm like, what's going on? Well, unbeknownst to me, she never told me on the first phone call, but like all kinds of trauma. Ex-husband beating her, ran her over with a car, lost her job. She'd about to kill herself when she called me. She didn't tell me all this, right? I just
Wow.
gave her some kindness, right? 6 months later, whatever I said to her kind of wore off, right? She hadn't left the house in months, right?
Mhm.
She kind of turned in court. She was afraid she was gonna get run over every time she
Wow.
went outside. She was afraid she was gonna get shot. And the guy was dead, right? But she was still afraid, right? She gained like 300 pounds,
Wow.
lost her job, moved out to Texas and just pretty much lived in her one bedroom apartment until her money ran out. And then her sister came from New York to get her, couldn't get her to talk, right? I don't know why. I have no idea. She told me, I've been following you for a while on social. I don't even know what channel. I don't know if it was
Mhm.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I don't know where she was following me, but she's like, something about you told me to call you, right? And I haven't heard from this lady back, so I hope she's doing good, right?
Mhm.
Uh, but while I was on the phone with her, I'm like, tell me why you haven't been out of bed. Tell me,
Mhm.
why you haven't been doing this, why you haven't been doing that, right? So I told her about how I lost 180 pounds before I became an MMA fighter. I
Wow.
was 29 years old, and I have a twin brother who was in better shape than I was at
Are
the
you
time.
guys identical?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Am I talking to Mike then? No, I'm just like,
yeah, like we're pretty close. So
what's
he
his
doesn't do
name?
social media or networking or pike. He doesn't like this stuff. He doesn't.
Now, what is his name?
His name's Patrick.
Okay, so Michael and Patrick. Okay.
So I remember my 29th birthday. I was in a room full of his employees and a lot of family friends and stuff down in Texas. A lot of us, and
Mhm.
they took a Polaroid. That's how old I am.
Wow. Yeah.
I remember shaking the Polaroid. Remember that song, "Shake It
Mhm.
Like a Polaroid"? Right?
Mhm.
Doesn't actually help develop the film, but that song was actually like big at the time, so that's how old it is. So I remember I looked at the photo and I'm like, "You look like that freaking cupcake." You know what I mean? Like you're just
Wow.
as round. You're just missing the icing and the candle, right?
Wow.
So I got really depressed. I'm the life of the party most of the time.
Mhm.
Instantly my mood changed, right? And people are like, "What's up?" And I have no idea why. I was a wrestler in school, did some MMA training at the time, but I'm like, I'm gonna go lose a whole bunch of weight over the next 6 months. I'm gonna get into an MMA cage fight at 205, right?
Mm.
Everybody in the room laughed at me, even my brother. Everybody laughed at me. So the next day, I got up to go walk. Right, I got to the end of the
Mhm.
block. I couldn't walk any further. So at the moment, I'm like, man, you're gonna go home. You're gonna take this L, right? Because you only
Mhm.
made it to the end of the block. And then I was like, forget that, it's not an L. You got up and you did the walk, right? You made
Mhm.
it to the block. You didn't do that yesterday. So tomorrow your fat ass is gonna get up. You're gonna come to this spot. You're gonna take one step further, no matter what.
Mhm.
So the next day I woke up, I was sore, fat, didn't feel like it was like 98 degrees outside, 7 o'clock in the morning, Texas sun just coming down. I just want to go Whataburger. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I walked that block and I couldn't make it another step. But I just willed myself to that spot, and then I took one more step and I turned around. And that
Mhm.
went on for like 8 months. Next thing you know, I'm running up and down mountains. I lost 100 pounds on a Taco Bell diet, just eating the 99-cent tacos three times a day.
Wow.
Soft tacos, 2 soft tacos, and a chicken taco 3 times a day. Lost 180 pounds, started training at Guy Metzger's, and I had my first cage fight a couple years later, went 3-3. So to get
That's
back to network
amazing.
trauma, all this, right?
Now,
I
so
feel like,
let's stop there for just a second because, weight loss is serious for people.
oh yeah,
You mentioned the whole thing about seeing yourself, looking at that picture, and that is really where the reality set in. And then you talk about, having that experience where you were so tired, you were sore the next day. So, what were some of the things that really helped you stay the course? Because it was hot. You had all these things going against you. How did you keep your goals reasonable so that, 180 pounds,
yeah,
so
a
that
lot
you
was
didn't give up? You know what I'm saying?
one day at a time.
Mm,
Are you familiar like personality types?
yeah.
I'm an ENTJ personality type, right?
Okay.
So I'm very focused
Now
on
for
goals.
I may understand that, but can you explain that to people watching?
So
Because 'Cause they're like, "I don't know what that is."
maybe we can put that in the links in the comments or something later. But there's basically like, and there's different personality type tests, and
Mhm.
there's when I refer to personality types, I'm talking about the 16 different types, with all the
Mhm.
different symbols, right?
Mhm.
As an ENTJ, I'm typically the type of person that if I come up with a goal, I'll make a plan to reach that goal,
Mhm.
and I'll suffer whatever I got to make the
Mhm.
goal,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So, and some of my plans will be years in advance, and some of them will be shorter, right?
Mhm.
And I'm not afraid to say what I mean or mean what I say, right?
Mhm.
So, like some people might be like extroverted, so that's what the E means, right? So I'm not
Mhm.
afraid to talk. Somebody might
Right.
be INTJ, which means they're introverted, but like everything else is kind of like similar, right?
Mhm.
So there's like free online personality tests you can take, right?
Mhm.
You take a couple of those tests, read the results, and let me know. You guys can message me. You can join my site and tell me I'm an idiot right on my own site. I don't care. I believe in freedom of speech. Tell me I'm an idiot. I don't care. I'll tweet it too. I just don't care. But I like to know people's personality types. And, I'm not the world's smartest guy. So if you told me, like, hey, I am an INTJ, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to
Mhm.
go read up on that again so I can learn a little bit more about LaChelle, right?
Mhm.
And then I learn a little bit more how you're thinking, and then I put it into context, right?
Mhm.
So and that's how I remember about people, right? So I
Mhm.
try to identify their personality types, and then I use examples from their life that confirm
Mhm.
that for me, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that helps me learn how to better communicate with them, and then
Mhm.
ultimately get what I want, which is they're happier, I'm happier, it's a win-win. You know what I mean?
But I'm saying for yourself, what did you have to do for yourself? Because, looking in the mirror, a weight loss of 180 pounds, we're like not seeing any progress. You know what I
I
mean?
grew up
What are
the
some things that you
well,
had to,
I grew up
work?
the kid of an alcoholic parents, right? I grew up with
Mhm.
child molestation, being
Mm.
beat up. I mean, I had a rough childhood, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not a therapist, all right, but I've
Right.
talked to a few. I've read a few things, right?
Right.
And I've processed it all emotionally,
Mhm.
right? But you asked me a question, so I'll try to give you the best answer possible, even though I'm not a
Mhm.
therapist, right? So if
Well,
we look
because
at
there's a lot of people out there like that, when it comes to having these goals and feeling like they're crazy because maybe they're too big to accomplish. You said your friends and family were laughing. That's a traumatic thing, even that itself, to say your goal out loud because you're afraid people are not going to resonate with it or something. So, what you've done is commendable. And those are the type of things that, how do you have that mindset when it seems like everybody's against you and
Well,
it seems so daunting.
I looked at it like this, right? We're all a product of what we've been through, our genetic code, all
Mhm.
that stuff, right? A
Mhm.
combination of things, right?
Mhm.
Let's say you didn't like white people because white dudes raped you, beat you up, lynched your uncle,
Mhm.
did all kinds of mean things throughout your life. So you just don't like white people, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I can look at it like you're a racist person and just give up on you. Or I can look at myself like Uncle Tom lynched her Uncle Ralph. She's got a reason to be
Right.
mad, right?
Right.
And I think that you see it play out, okay, in an individual basis like that. And you also see it on the world stage, like with Ukraine and Russia, right?
Mhm.
Do they really need to go to war? Finland and Sweden are talking about joining NATO, which is like a big thing that Putin was arguing against because he's like, people keep joining NATO, I'm gonna go invade people, right? And then
Mhm.
they're like, well, if you invade Ukraine, now we got to join NATO, so you don't invade us too. You already made the threat. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
all this comes down to miscommunication. Okay,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Because like the bottom line is, do we all want to get nuked? No.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We all want to make money. Everybody wants their land. Everybody wants their piece of the pie. Even Putin.
Mhm.
Now, granted, he wants a bigger piece of the pie, right?
Mhm.
But we can look at it like, oh, he's just invading people for no reason. Well, he's giving you his reasons, and he's rational about most of it, right? We just don't
Mhm.
like his perspective because it sucks,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
We, on a personal level, right? I look at it like this: do I want to break the chains that bind me, right, and keep going down
Mhm.
the path of getting fatter and lazier and dying depressed like my dad did, or my uncle, or my grandfather, or his
Mhm.
grandfather, right? Or do I want to acknowledge how they got there and how I can get there too, and how I'm on that
Mhm.
path, right?
Mhm.
And I don't want to be on that path. I don't want to be jamming myself with needles because I'm diabetic at 50. I don't want to have a heart attack at 56, right?
Mhm.
We all have those choices to make every day, right?
Mhm.
And you can't really blame other people for making the choices they make to be happy in the moment and to be happy with whatever they're facing that we don't know about, right?
Mhm.
So when people laughed at me, it set a spark in me. Like, no, like, should I be mad at them for laughing, or should I be mad at myself for giving them a reason to?
Mm. That no, that's good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you look at it like that, you know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get up and walk. I'm gonna take away that reason.
That's
So
good
none of you
stuff.
son of bitches laugh at me anymore. you
I
know,
love that because that's showing people how to turn their uh pain or whatever into fuel.
it
It
could be
is
whatever.
yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
I love that because I think that is that's the point that a lot of people need to get to. And once we take that accountability, I mean, I had that in my own life. I was in depression for 13 years and 3 hospitalizations. So, you also mentioned earlier about ignoring the warning signs, the red flags. I caught that earlier. So, can you talk to us about
well,
there could be some people in that spot where,
I don't
you
want to
know
ask you too much of
Mhm.
a personal question, right?
Yeah,
But were your
go ahead.
parents drinkers?
No.
Were they there in your life a lot?
Yeah, the issue for me was I was an only child. So I grew up with the academic background that was high performance based. So I made honor roll, all these different things, but it was all controlled because I was only one child.
You had
I didn't have
helicopter parents.
you see what I'm saying? I wouldn't say that. I was rewarded for the things that they wanted me to pursue. But what happened was when I had a
That's
big
the key word.
family, yeah, when I had the family, I was used to being in control. Like if I had a goal, I can accomplish it because I could do the work. When it came to having a family that, you got people that making up their own mind. You can't control everything. And then I had the expectations of myself plus them. So I was overcompensating and trying to do what I wanted them to do. So I was like, hey, it's homework time. Let's get here. Let's get this homework done. I'm, being involved in everything. Just
So
crazy.
good
Yeah.
parents, they gave you love, right?
Mhm.
But they told you got to earn what you get, right?
Right.
They gave you a reward system.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Keyword reward, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
When you have alcoholic parents or parents that aren't around, or if you're in a family with only one dad, and I'm not speaking from experience, or it's just educated guess, right? Because my
Right.
dad was around, kind
Mhm.
of. You don't have that reward system. You don't have that positive motivation, right?
Mm.
But if you look at it like from a human nature perspective,
Mhm.
we're all the same species. We're all
Right.
animals, right? We're all going to
Mhm.
react to different things, pretty much more or less the same, right?
Mhm.
So if I
Mhm.
don't get rewarded for good grades, I'm not going to chase good grades. You know what I
Right.
mean? If
Right.
if I don't get the love at home, I'm not going to understand how to get love from my adult relationships. If you
Mhm.
don't get compliments from your parents or your siblings, right? You're not going to
Mhm.
understand how to take them from other kids at school, right?
Right.
So what's funny to me is I was sitting there listening to my high school principal. They're telling me I'm freaking retarded, right?
Mhm.
I don't tell people my IQ too often, and I don't
Mhm.
believe in the numbers, but it's respectable. All right.
Mhm.
Even as a kid, I knew I was pretty smart. I just had a
Right.
problem. I had a fat tongue, so I had surgery on my tongue, and I
Mm.
had a few other things. I had water in the brain, and I was hyperactive as a kid and no structure. Nobody told me how to
Mm.
focus my energy. I had to figure that out for myself. Right? They just
Right.
want to give you a pill and dumb you down. Right? So like, I went through life, right?
Mhm.
Watching trauma, watching people react to trauma. Like, five brothers and sisters, they all reacted to trauma differently, right?
Right.
My brother used to beat me. The other one, a lot of stuff happened, right?
Right.
Now, did they do that because they're monsters or because they were kids that didn't know better? They were reacting out of anger with misplaced anger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was retarded. At 6 years old, I was thinking about misplaced anger. You know what I mean? Like I started
Exactly.
reading about therapy and shit when I was a kid. Why? Because everybody in my family was messed up.
Mhm.
And then
So true.
how messed up does the principal have to be to sit there in front of an 8-year-old kid and tell him he's retarded and has no future? Like,
Right.
is that my problem as a kid, or is it
That's
your
so
problem as an
crazy.
educator? Like, as a
Yeah.
kid sitting in that room, okay, I had a million
Mhm.
thoughts. One of which is like, who gave this? I got a job.
Right.
Like, who put this guy in the position to talk to kids like me?
So
So
true.
I learned at a very young age, okay, the impact of not getting attention. I
Mm.
learned about the impact of getting attention. I've
Mhm.
seen what kids will do to get attention, both
Yeah.
good and bad.
Yeah.
I've seen people respond to people crying out for good attention and bad, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I've seen it from all angles. Why?
Mhm.
I don't know why. I've just been one of those people who like to sit and watch things a lot. For as much as I talk, I've always been I interrupt, right? And sometimes I don't appear to be the best listener. But I question that, right? Because there's
Mhm.
different types of listening. There's active listening, there's passive listening, right?
Mhm.
There's a type of listening where like I heard what you said, but I'm not going to give any more mind past this conversation,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
And my feeling, and going back to being pretentious, is I think a lot of people are only surface deep. They're not
Right.
going to pay attention to what you say 10 minutes after you say it. They're going to nod their head, give you the yes service, hey, did I get my like? And they're going to move on with their day, right?
Mhm.
So the way I look at things, kind of like being the fat guy that had to take that one extra step, I have to make positive changes in my life to get people to stop laughing at me, right? I
Mm.
have to make positive changes in my own life to build my business to get people to take SBN serious, right?
Mhm.
And for a long time, I was resentful, like my friends and family aren't joining my website. And then I realized, wait, I'm not really giving them a reason other than my friends and family to join my website.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's still
Right.
got to be beneficial. You can't just ask
Mhm.
people to do stuff to support you just because your relatives they're not going to, right? Everybody needs a reason. So like
Right.
with my life, with my business, with everything I do, I'm always trying to give people that reason. Why? Because
Right.
that's my own internal reward system. Like if I can
Mhm.
help you get a whole bunch of views and more people to look at you and connect with you and get your content, and I think you're a great conversationalist. Like I said, if I didn't think that you're good at answer, like if I thought you sucked when I watched your videos, I would have told you I was sick. I'm like, I can't do it. Got the raspers. Sorry to anybody I've done that to before. I really was sick. I promise. I was sick. It was terrible. Worst day of my life. You know? But like I'm gonna come back. Like I'm not just gonna like leave it to LaChelle to like market this video. I'm gonna ask you to put my link to my website in my description, right? You
Yeah.
know, so that way I can promote it. But I'm gonna go to Fiverr. I'm gonna spend a couple bucks. Like, yo, get some social media shares on this, right? And then I'm gonna go to
Mhm.
Twitter and I'm gonna tell you like, hey, everybody, talk to my friend LaChelle. And then I'm gonna just
Okay.
retweet it for the next 3 months. And people are like, why would you do that? Well, one, it helps LaChelle. Two is
Mhm.
I like when people hear what I got to say. Three, it's
So
got a
true.
link in the description. Now you're helping my domain authority on my website, which helps my ranking, right? So now if I
I'm
promote your
loving
video
that.
on your YouTube channel, it's actually helping promote my video, whether people click that link or not, because
So
that's
true.
how the internet works.
Well, this definitely I hope they were taking notes on that. That was a master class in that answer. So, I'm hoping they were paying attention.
I talk a lot. So here's the thing, some of my videos on my YouTube channel, right,
Mhm.
blow me away. If Mr. Herman can see me now, there's my old principal.
Mhm.
Some of
Mhm.
these people watch my videos 41,000 minutes, and then I'm looking at it 41,000 hours, 30
Mhm.
watch time. Like
Yeah.
people listen to what, and then I realized like a year ago, I'm like, oh, it's because I talk so much to get to the good stuff. They have to keep listening back to get the goal.
It's good stuff. That's the thing. I think, it's back to what you're saying. People have surface listening, right? They listen to what they think is the important part, skimming through, I mean, all that stuff. And it is the journey. It is the whole thing of seeing an interview from start to finish because you never know where you're going to end up. I mean, I'm finding that all the time with my
I feel
guests.
so bad for all my friends and subscribers because like sometimes I'll do a video for like an hour and I'll be like, I am not posting that video because I'm not one of those guys. You watch, it's just like this. I don't do any editing. There's no
Right.
fancy bells and whistles. I got
I'm telling
ADHD,
you.
so I'm
Hey.
surprised anybody listens, right? People will send me messages and be like, I watched your video 82 times. I'm like, why? I'm like, because that lady asked you a question and it took you 27 minutes to answer it. And by the time
Mm,
you got to it, I learned 6 other things. I'm like,
right.
you're welcome.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
that's the whole thing. But you said it earlier. If we have an attitude that we can learn something from everybody, that's my thing. Every time I come to a post or an experience with somebody, it is what am I going to learn from them today?
well,
So you have a different attitude.
I look at it like this way, right? You
Mm-hmm.
may not be able to teach me jack crap, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you're putting it out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you put out there generates. I tell people this all the time. Some people hate me just for this one analogy, okay? But it's
Okay.
true. I am one of them. This implies everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are all just rats chasing the cheese. I
Right.
mean, that's the reward system. If you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
it all boils down to your id. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, not a therapist, right? But I know a little bit about psychology, right? Everything we do is designed to make us A, live longer, and B, feel better, right?
Right.
Even eating the Cheerios and getting fat, right? Like we eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because it tastes good. The instant impulse, right? And we're in the
Right.
instant gratification world, right? That's probably the reason why I talk so much. Is like you gotta work for the juice. You know what I mean? So, but what I'm saying is, if you just go at things with a different perspective, not about what
Mhm,
you want, and not even so much
mhm,
what this person can teach me, right?
mhm,
But how are everybody else reacting to it, right?
mhm,
So there's a lot of people I follow. I don't even like what they say. I don't even. Sometimes I'll like their content just so that way it stays in my feed and I can see it
mm,
again when they can. So people are like, "Why'd you like that?" I'm like, "So I can keep seeing it." I'm like, "Why?" Because I want to see how people are engaging on it. The other day there was a
mhm.
post on LinkedIn and wound up getting like 23,000 likes or something. It went viral, right?
Wow.
And it was super viral.
Mhm.
And it was about somebody switching genders right at
Oh,
work,
okay,
right?
okay. Mhm,
So people were on both sides of the fence,
mhm.
thousands of comments. I mean, one comment was like, if you want to be treated normally, act normally, right?
Wow.
And that had hundreds of likes on a professional platform like LinkedIn, right?
Wow.
Now as somebody like me, right,
Mhm,
I don't try to like say I'm smart, but I like to watch things at like a 30,000 foot level, right? Like I like to
mhm,
look at things from like back here, right?
mhm, mhm.
I'd be mortified if somebody that worked for me or that represented SBN was one of those people, right?
Mhm.
If you heard my views, okay, on the transgender people and female sports, you
Mhm.
wouldn't think I'm a pro, guy, right? Like I'm
Mhm.
into that. I have a different view when it comes to sports. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's not black and white with me. It's gray,
Mhm.
right? Just like
Mhm.
everything else in life, right?
Mhm.
But I don't like being hateful anywhere, especially for any
Mm.
reason, right?
Yeah.
So if you ask me a specific question about a specific topic, I might give you a very strong answer, right? But
Mhm.
in no way, shape, or form does that mean I condone treating people a certain way because they're doing
Right.
something different than I am, right?
Right.
The
Right.
thing that made me happiest this week, my happiest moment this week, right, is I
Mhm.
looked through that post and I only had one person in my first degree, and out of all those thousands of people saying hateful stuff, right, and
Wow.
not one person was in SPN.
Wow.
So I don't care if I make $1 million. I want to keep that. I want to keep that
Yeah.
culture, right, where we build people up.
That's awesome.
And let me tell you something. I preach two things, okay? A
Mhm.
lot. I don't know if you know this. One of which is the golden rule. Another
Mhm.
thing is don't start none, won't be none, right? Which I'm kind of
Mhm.
getting away from, okay? Because there's a better way to say it, right?
Mhm.
So I haven't been using that one lately. I'm trying to get away from that philosophy. But I'm always going to be that guy. I was a cage fighter. I grew up in a violent household, right? It's all about growth, right? If you're the same
Mhm.
guy or the same gal or whatever that you were, at 43, that you were at 25, you messed
Mhm.
up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you didn't grow. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to challenge yourself. And
Mhm.
my dad, as much as I bag at him for being a bad parent when I was a younger kid, he was
Mhm.
a great parent in my teenage and younger adult years. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like after the last time he hit me, he different person. Like just
Wow.
changed his life, quit drinking, gave me that different influence. And what's wild
Wow.
is if he didn't, I might be a totally different person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Mhm.
I've seen people, okay, do
Mhm.
the 180 in life many
Mhm.
times. And I've seen people that were written off by everybody do the
Mhm.
180, right? So no
Mhm.
matter what you're doing, no matter what you're facing, unless it's like some terminal crap, right? Unless it's just, nothing you can do, right?
Mhm.
There usually is something you can do. And it comes up to you whether or not you want to do it. And you got to
Mhm.
find out your reason for wanting to do it. And I'm big into winning and losing, right?
Mhm.
And I'm a competitive person by nature, right?
Mhm.
And I looked at it, my dad was 73 years old. I didn't like the way he died. I won't get into that, right? He
Mhm.
could have lived longer, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, I don't really can't say much because he was almost 500 pounds at the time. He didn't take care of
Wow.
himself. He put himself
Yeah.
in that position, right?
Yeah.
So I can be mad that he didn't get the care that he should have got, right?
Mhm.
But how do you care for a 500-pound man? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So looking at that, do I want to be that 500-pound man, or do I want to
Right.
be a slim guy? Like I'm 6'5", right?
Mhm.
Even if I'm slim, I'm still 240. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want to have a heart attack when I'm 40 years old and somebody can't get me out the house. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's
I mean,
true.
like if you think about it, and I've been big. I've been up to like a 40-inch waist or a 42-inch waist. I've been
Mm.
down to a 31-inch waist, right? When
Mhm.
you're big, everything sucks. You're not comfortable. You get tired. You get winded, right?
Mhm.
And I remember I used to give my dad so much shit when I was, cage fighting and I was young and athletic, right? I'd be
Mhm.
like, Dad, get up. Just start one day at a time. One day at a time.
Mhm.
Start. And as I get older and learn more about depression and life events and how life can just absolutely beat you down if you let it.
Beat
Right?
you down.
I
It
mean,
can bury you. I mean, that is
every
true.
day you
Yeah.
have a reason to complain. Every
Yeah.
day somebody's going to do something to try and ruin your day, right? I
So
mean,
true.
just you have to be thick-skinned every day of your adult life,
So
right?
true.
And I spent a lot of time, I think, like most people, always wanting that next day to come, right? You
Mhm.
remember, like when you were a kid, you wanted to get to 16 to drive that car, and then
Exactly.
you wanted to get out of high school, and then you wanted to get married, then
Mhm.
you wanted to get the house.
Mhm.
Well, let me tell you something. If you think like that, one day you're going to look back and you're going to, shit, I spent my whole life wanting that next thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, after my divorce, I started doing a lot of like reflection about how did I get here?
Mhm.
Do I want to come here again? Is this a
Right.
cycle that I want to repeat? Right. And you just got to make those choices. And like, along the way, you think about like, hey, why did my dad drink? Why
Mhm.
was my mom cold? And then you
Mhm.
start asking questions, your aunts, uncles, whoever's still around about their
Mhm.
parents. At
Mhm.
my dad's wake, right, I met 3 of his friends from high school. I didn't even know they existed. And they were
Wow.
telling me we'd wound up talking for like 12 hours. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? My dad's wake was in the middle of the day. Those guys, those old timers were there until 2 in the morning answering 2 crying cage fighters, question after question about their dad, grandfather. I mean, I learned more in that conversation than I ever learned from my parents.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
That's awesome.
But
Well,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I think that is, that's about being vulnerable, being willing to ask those questions because a lot of times, there's a lot about story that keeps us in a lot of the places. We don't want to hear another side, or we want to hold on and protect certain things that we have lived through, and we don't want to bother that, you know. I know for myself, I was like that American dream. Everything you're saying is like totally speaking my language. But then when I found out that story didn't serve me, I had to make a choice. Either I can keep going with this story of on this road to what everybody else thinks is success, or I can say that I'm living this unsuccessful life and what am I going to do to change it?
I mean, you can ask yourself the real questions or you can keep going.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's so
Sooner,
true.
sooner or later, the truth is going to hit you.
It is so true.
And
I'm
if it
telling
hits you
you.
on your deathbed, Lord have mercy, I feel bad for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So
So like,
true.
it's part of the reason that, we didn't get a lot of people coming out here and asking questions. It's part of me because I didn't promote it like I should because I got ADHD and I got like a bunch of train wrecks in my own life.
You are fine.
But my
Look, we
point,
just have to have a part 2, you know what I'm saying?
I'm going to promote it. I'm going to share it
Yeah.
everywhere, but like,
Mhm.
you never know what people are going through, right?
Yeah.
But you do know somebody that they're going through something.
Mhm.
That's the thing is, no matter what people put out on social media, they got a
Mhm.
lot going on,
So true.
and the way I look at it, I'm just going to be open and honest about it, right? Because
Mhm.
no matter who you are, no matter what you're saying, even the most hateful people, right,
Mhm.
have somebody that agree with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody that will follow them, right? So then it just becomes down to distribution, right? Like I said, I really
Mhm.
like your conversations. It's probably the most awkward one you've had because the other ones went real smooth. I saw
It's
them,
not.
right?
I'm telling look, I don't think I'm ready for anything. I have 10 kids at home still. Okay, they're all different ages, so you gotta be ready. And a grandson who was totally doing all kind of craziness in the background. That's why I was distracted at
I
some
can't
point.
believe you have grandkids. I can't believe people
Yes,
my age are having grandkids. I mean,
it's crazy.
I'm
Yeah,
43 and some of they have kids that are grown.
I
I'm like,
know. I Our oldest is 32. It's
that's
crazy. Yeah.
if you told me you were in your 50s or
I
40s,
am I'm 51.
I never would have believed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Black don't crack, baby.
I
I'm telling
I
you,
love that. But
you know,
yeah, so I mean, they keep you young. That's what I say. When you have them, I mean, I have an 8-year-old. Our youngest is 8.
that's
So I'm
crazy.
looking like the grandmother to the 8-year-old when I
So I'm
go
doing the
around
math.
their
So you
friends.
had a kid when you were my age.
Yeah, 42 was when I had my youngest. Yeah.
So I got to keep my
So
guard up a little bit longer. All
yeah,
right.
hey, you can be like Larry King now. He had a baby in his 70s, I think. So it happens.
I don't know.
But
I'm gonna need to get a few more people on my website before I can claim Larry King status.
hey, look, all it's a mindset. Okay.
It
So it's
is.
a mindset.
Well, people like, here's the thing, right?
Mhm.
Going back to when I was 29, I looked like a cupcake, right?
Mhm.
I got my ass kicked on TV in front of my parents. Like for 6 months, they showed clips of me getting my ass kicked on local TV, right?
Mhm.
After a while, you just get kind of used to stuff and get you can build strength from your worst moments, right?
Mhm.
And the way I look at it with, you know, the social media site, I told everybody I'm going to go out and I'm going to make a social media website that competes with Twitter, Facebook, the biggest websites in the world, right? Everybody laughed at me, and rightfully so, because if somebody says that, right, chances are they're not going to do the work. They're not going to come up with the
Mm.
money. They're not going to put in
Mhm.
the time, right? At the
Mhm.
time, I was going through a divorce. My wife, cleaned me out. I lost my
Wow.
car, lost all my money. I got one bag of clothes on my mom's couch, and I told everybody, I'm gonna build a social media website. Okay, I had 16,000 followers on LinkedIn at the time, right?
Mhm.
I was an SEO content writer. Okay.
Okay.
I was not a website designer. I was not a technical SEO guy. I didn't know any of the stuff I know now, basically,
Wow.
but how to write a good story. That's all I
Mhm.
was a story writer, right?
Mhm.
I went to YouTube, kid you not, and I typed in, what does www dot mean? And then I realized after watching that video that I should start with, what does HTTPS mean? That was
Mm.
5 years ago. I
Yeah.
taught myself WordPress. I taught myself a little bit of Java. I taught myself a little bit of this, a little bit of that, all through
Mhm.
YouTube videos. Why? Because I wanted to win, and I wanted to do something not only to prove everybody wrong. I mean, obviously that's one of my goals, right? But
Mhm.
like when I was that fat guy taking that one extra step, I had so many other people start losing weight all around me. When you lose 180 pounds and you're sharing that
180.
story, right?
Yeah.
You inspire a lot of people to lose a little bit of weight,
Yeah.
right? So going back to the reward system, my reward then was I'm helping people lose weight. Obviously, I got away from that back to being fat, but
Mhm.
my reward that I want has changed, right?
Mhm.
Now I want to have a big website because I want to make some money and I want to take care of people and I want to get back to investing in different things like orphanages, right?
Mhm.
Sure, my ego needs to stroke, right? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, not that
Mhm.
I don't have the world's biggest ego already, but man, if you live life, right? You
Mhm.
don't have to be remembered like a Stalin or MLK, positive or negative influence,
Mhm.
right? But
Mhm.
if you live your life and when you check out, you inspired at least one other person to live better, do better, taught some other person to do something. You lived a good life, right?
That is so true.
So there's an old Irish saying, to so much good in the worst of us and so much bad in the best of us that it hardly behooves any of us to speak ill of the rest of us, right?
Love that.
That saying was probably one of the best things my parents ever did because they put it up above our door in our living room. And I read that sucker every time I
Mhm.
came and went out of that house, right?
Mhm.
And I know I make a lot of mistakes. A lot of times I know
Mhm.
I'm making a mistake when I'm doing it. And I have a smile on my face. I just go
Right?
watch my cage fights. I was smiling the whole time, getting punched in the face, right?
Yeah.
Like even during your, that character, that soul is always there, no matter what you're going through in life, right? You're still the same
Mhm.
person, just reacting differently to your trauma, right?
Mhm.
So my whole thing is I just want to show people that I went through all this stuff, but it wasn't without reason, right? Like I
Mm.
had no reason to talk about being molested as a kid. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. Like I don't want
Mhm.
people to feel like, oh, Mike's on the spectrum, give him a little bit of grace or feel bad about him, right? But
Mhm.
like it is what it is. I always tell people the
Mhm.
proof is in the pudding, right? So
Mhm.
I can act like I'm not ADHD or mania, or I can tell people, hey, I just say what's ever on my mind because like that's what my mind does, right?
Mhm.
When people talk about like, oh, he acts this way, or acts, it's not an act, it's just who I am, it's how I'm wired, but I embrace that, right?
Mhm.
If I can get one person that's wired as messed up as me to embrace what they do and to challenge themselves to do the best with what they got, man, I lived a good life.
That's the good stuff. Well, we have definitely enjoyed this interview. This is definitely one that I will cherish for a long time because this is great conversation. So, what is the best way? We've talked about SPN, but what's the best way for everybody to get a hold of you?
Honestly, I'm out there, man. I mean, whether I'm on Twitter, Instagram, I mean, YouTube, wherever, if you just Google SPN. I'm
Mhm.
number 3 or 5 today. I don't know where,
Awesome.
but like, so like, like we're making strides. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I'm all over LinkedIn. Do you ever see the SPN on LinkedIn? Like, there's like 36,000 people that have SPN in their name.
You know what? I'm not on there enough to do that. What I
Oh
do
yeah,
is
you should see it.
you're having me tell on myself.
Oh no, it's all right. So like, I'm
I
not
do
saying
have 10 kids and working that I gotta be doing,
I
okay? I
understand
can't.
busy, and you can only pour when your cup's full, right? So
Right.
you're always
I
pouring
love that.
from a full cup. You know what I mean? So like,
Exactly. I love that.
I
Yeah.
look at it like this, right? We all have
Mhm.
different things, and like so many people are like, Mike, I can't comment on your post, or Mike, you can't like your post because I'm always liking and commenting on there, so people feel bad they don't engage back.
Mhm.
Look, I'm not going to engage on your post because I need you to engage back. You know, like if you
Mhm.
want to, cool. If you like,
Mhm.
hey, are you on my website?
No. So
No,
I
you're
need
not,
to,
right?
yeah, you need to send me
Right.
the information. Yeah.
I knew you weren't on my website, right? But here we are talking, right? If you go look at my LinkedIn's like, if you're not on my website, we're not going to connect. Well, that's true 95% of the time, unless I, see something online and I like the person, right?
Right.
So, like, you're not on my website. I don't care. I liked what you had to say. So here I am. You know what I mean? If you want to be
Yeah.
on my website, cool. If not, I don't care. You got a full cup. You got 10 kids, shit to do. Right? So, like, we're still going to be friends. You know what I mean? Like,
I
I might have
love
to
this.
delete you off
Yeah.
LinkedIn now that I know you're not active, but I'll still stop in on
I
YouTube
am
and say hi.
active on, look, I have a newsletter, okay? So I am active, but it's just, being on there for long periods of time. I can't do that.
I should have been a dentist. Trust me, you're speaking to the choir.
Mhm. Yes. So I know what you're now. Do you have a newsletter? Have you thought
No,
about
you know what's funny is I was thinking about turning it back on.
you need to, yeah.
I was thinking, oh, thank you very much. I had 17,000 subscribers there on it.
Get that on
Huh?
because they really are pushing it now. I don't know. It's just it really
I
is.
turned mine off because
Mhm.
I had mine on for years before
Did
everybody
you
else
do it
did.
weekly, monthly, or what?
Oh, I did it sporadically, like I do everything else.
Well, yeah, you still could do it because, what they're doing is separating themselves from the other platforms. LinkedIn is more word SEO driven. And so everything else is like, they've got the pictures, they try to assimilate whatever's the trend. But
Well,
LinkedIn is staying where they are.
I'm everywhere. Like, if you go to my
Mhm.
website, like, there's a page for videos.
Okay.
I think you can load like 15 megabytes or whatever the tech nerd told me. So like a
Mhm.
couple minutes on the video. You can do your TikTok videos, your YouTube videos. You can just post the link right in the feed and it just pops right up. The images. So like if you share like every image that goes on my site, I also share to
Mhm.
my Pinterest.
Oh.
So yeah, I
You
get
got a good little code going on. Look,
yeah, I'm telling you.
that's a master class right now. You're talking about all these places that you pop
I'm
up, so that's amazing.
telling people if they don't use my site, they're out of their mind. Like
Well,
if
you
you're
know
not,
what? You need to have a class for the youth,
huh?
a course for children
Oh,
because they need to think like that,
I
in
swear too
terms
much for
of
children.
you do what now?
I swear too much for children.
Well, you know what? I might get you to do a couple classes with my sons because they are all into computers. But if they could have a way to think like that, that's going to help them be marketable and do something positive with some of this time they spend on these video games and stuff.
You know, I saw something the other day. I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, right? But some guys
Hmm.
like, if somebody tells you you're a chicken, they're rude, right? If two people tell
Hmm.
you you're a chicken, they're both rude, right? If
Hmm.
five people tell you you're a chicken, well, you might as well just lay down and lay that egg.
So people have been telling you this. That's what I'm getting out of that.
A lot, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
I get a lot of people telling me you should do a course, you should do like a newsletter, you should do this, you should do that. You give away all
But
your content for free.
well, this could be a beta thing, and I could have my kids be some of your focus group, and we can promote it, and
Well,
you could turn it into
I'm a
a good
weird guy,
little.
right? Because like
Yeah.
I was kind of a dick when I was younger. I
Mhm.
know we're trying to wrap it up. I'm talking more. I
Mhm.
was like the world's best telemarketer when I was like in my early 20s, right? And I
Mhm.
don't go around telling people like I was ruthless. I would just say whatever because I got cheated on by a girl and I was kind of somewhat emotional about it, right?
Mhm.
And then I'm like, oh, these customers are lying to me. I don't lie back, right? So I wasn't always the same guy, right? I sold a $2.6 billion processing deal. I sold $200 million processing deals. I've sold homes over the phone where nobody's even looked at them, right?
Mhm.
I should. The FBI told me, I think twice, that I shouldn't have a phone or be allowed online, right?
Wow.
I'm not gonna get into like my Jesus awakening moment, right? Because I
Mhm.
don't get too much in my religious experiences because it just invites a whole different night. A while ago, okay, like I said, you always
Mhm.
have that come to Jesus moment, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I've had several. We'll just go there, right?
Mhm.
And I'm gonna live my life to do the best I can for everybody around me and to make amends for all the things I've done in my younger days when I didn't know better, had
Mhm.
bad examples. I can make excuses, or I can just say, "Hey, I'm just gonna do better," right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I had good examples. Like I said, my dad made it 180. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like everybody can make a 180 if they want to.
So true.
And it doesn't matter if you're talking about your business. It doesn't matter if you're talking about social media. It doesn't matter if you're
Mhm.
talking about how you deal with your significant other, how you communicate with your dog. You know what I mean? Like
Everything.
everything. It's all a conscious decision.
I love that. What look, Imma be hitting you up about that class, really, that's something that and this
I
is the
gotta lay
thing,
that egg.
everybody thinks that, you have to be a certain way, but you gotta be able to reach the kids. If you're engaging, that's what they need. Nobody wants to be, "Okay, we're gonna be talking about this," and be boring. They're not gonna get it,
Well,
they
I
have
take that as a
yeah.
compliment.
Yeah, they want to be able to ask questions and feel comfortable, not feel like it's this strict thing. That's just my philosophy about it. And they're boys too, so you already know. You
I think that
can't
happens
be
with everybody though, right?
yeah.
Like, so I'm not gonna name drop, right? But
Mhm.
sometimes every once in a while, like somebody be like, you're connected to that person, like they're a
Mhm.
world leader, or they're like this, or they're that, or
Mhm.
NFL football player or something. Like how, right?
Mhm.
Kid, adult, male, female, transgender, straight, gay, black, white, don't care, right?
Right.
I treat everybody the same. If you're nice to
Yeah.
me, I'm gonna be nice to you, right?
So true.
And I'm outgoing just the same, right? Because
Yeah.
I realized something, right? You liked it when I made a few descriptions or a few pointers on
Mhm.
your YouTube video, right?
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
started talking to me because of that, right?
Mhm.
Well, people are like, how'd you get connected with this world leader? Or how'd you get connected with this celebrity, right?
Mhm.
I looked at what they were doing. I saw something and I sent them a nice message. It works for everybody,
So
right?
true.
I
So
once,
true.
you know, how do I tell this story without giving away? Okay. Somebody ran for president, right?
Mhm.
Had some issues, right?
Mhm.
Everybody in the country is blasting this person, right?
Mhm.
Who am I at this time, right?
Mhm.
Nobody, right?
Mhm.
I sent them a message saying, I saw this. It's terrible. I feel bad for you.
Mm.
And then, like, they're like, thanks. We can be friends. Just don't tell anybody. I was
Right.
like, I'm not going to tell nobody. And then I was like, wait a second. That person said we can be friends because I did this.
Mhm.
Reward system,
So true.
right? Everything goes
Yeah.
back to like rats chasing the cheese.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter who it is. We all,
So true.
you hear that saying about we all wake up, put our pants on the same way. You know what
So
I mean?
true.
Like,
And,
like
what comes to me is that book, Who Moved My Cheese? That's a good one. People need to keep that.
who moved my cheese?
Have you read that?
I'm going to now.
Okay. Yeah,
You may not believe this, but I read like 50 to 100 books a year.
I love that because I'm a book junkie, okay? That is I don't buy shoes like most women, I'm buying books, okay? So I have them everywhere. But, the whole thing is if I could speed read and read them all, I would just be in heaven because I love books. But,
I
yeah.
like being occupied with my time, right? So
Yeah.
like I may not read a book for like 3 months, right? But then
Mhm.
I'll take like a airplane ride and I'll read 3 books on the plane.
That's
You know
good.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
using your
you know
time
what I mean?
wisely.
Like, or it's
Yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning. I can't look at my computer anymore, so I'll spend an hour read a book. You know what I mean?
So true.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
I do book review. It's funny. It's like okay, I got started with SBN,
Mhm.
doing the networking thing, but I
Mhm.
didn't make that a social media site or blogging community before. I was a blog writer, so I just started writing blogs like Amazon review blogs and book reviews on there, right?
Mm.
And then when I decided to, make it a social media site, I'm like, I'm going to start focusing on buying books, reading the books, and then I'll just do reviews on the ones I like, and then I'll tag the author in social media, right? That's how I became friends with Timothy Hughes, Dola Bueller, Don Williams, and I became better friends. He actually is a sponsor of mine now. Bought
Wow.
their books, and then I tweeted them like, "Hey, liked your book." There was a lot of books I bought that I didn't tweet about or write about because I didn't like the book. Right?
Mhm.
If you find a book you like, I thought of it like this. This is wild, right? So thinking like other
Mhm.
people think. So I was like, if this dude spent, X amount of hours, time, aggravation, money, and all this stuff to write this book, he's going to want somebody to really read it, or she, right?
Right.
So then when I buy your book for $12 off Amazon, right? And it comes to my house, I read it, and then I tell you how I read it, right? Oh, Lieutenant Oakland McCulloch. He was on my YouTube channel. Great guy. Lieutenant Oak. He's a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. Like, you know what I mean? Like, top of the food chain. Like, the guy was on my YouTube channel talking about how he talked about, how he knows Colin Powell. I mean, all through networking. Like, it's great. I bought his book. I'm like, that guy probably knows about leadership. He's got a book on leadership. I'm going to buy his book. Now he's an SPN, right? He's been on podcasting shows with several different SPN members that have podcasts. He's got influencers with hundreds of thousands of people tweeting about his book. I don't know how many books he sold. I don't care, right?
That's
but I like, oh, he's a good guy. He's been on my show twice. You know what I mean? Everybody knows who he is. Down to earth guy. Never would have happened if I didn't buy the book.
That's a good one. I mean, that's another masterclass. Mike, you are full of it. So that is good.
Somebody tells me, he's like, that's how Jeff Bezos got started, right? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, when he made Amazon, he started with books. And the reason why he started with books is because writers put a lot of attention into books and nobody can sell their books. I didn't realize that. So, like, 5 years after I built SPN, somebody's like, it's basically the same thing Jeff Bezos said. Like, how crazy is that?
That's good stuff.
So, like, if you go to my website, right, I got groups. So you got like memes groups, you got like dirty memes, LinkedIn groups. You know what I mean? Like, and people are like, why would you have dirty memes groups on your social media site? I'm like, some people like dirty memes. Somebody made a dirty memes video group. What am I supposed to say? Like, I don't want dirty memes on my site. No, thanks for using my site. Go ahead, post the memes. Tell you what, some dude posted a pretty dirty meme. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. I'm like, but I told him I would pin it because, like, I'll pin everything that goes on my site. So I pinned this raunchy meme, right? 3 million impressions, like, overnight, thousands of clicks. The dirtiest thing on my site. I was like, this is terrible. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like, go ahead. I got like 3 dirty memes group. I got a Star Wars meme group. Okay. If you Google Star Wars memes, you're one of 40,000 people that do that every month.
Wow.
And then people are like, why do you have a Star Wars memes group? Why? Well, one, they're hilarious. Two, it's like 40,000 people search for Star Wars memes, and the competition is low. So
that's
I just go to Facebook and find a meme I like that says Star Wars somewhere on it, throw it in the group, pin it to Pinterest, get more traffic.
That is so
like, oh, how do you do that? I don't know. It's easy.
That's some good stuff. You are giving people a master class. I hope they're paying attention.
Well, I'm sorry I'm talking so long, though.
We definitely need to have you come back. So
Anytime.
We will definitely get our calendars together. And so what final thoughts? I know you still have a lot of stuff you could share, but what is the last thing you want to leave everybody with?
Join my site.
I love that.
Join my site. Well, here's the thing, right? I'm not saying just to join my site because I want you to go click my Amazon and Google ads. And I'm not supposed to tell you to do that because you shouldn't unless you want to. I got 17,000 active members. So that means almost 18. That means that they logged in the last 30 days. Okay. Almost 30,000 total. So if you go click the members tab, you'll see 17,000 something. Those are the people that were logged in the last 30 days or so. Right. I also have 400 or 500 featured members, which hopefully you'll be one soon. Like, if people join the site and I know who they are, I know they're a real person, I put them in the featured member section. And then when I come across different people on Twitter or whatever, they're like, I don't know how to network. I'm like, go invite, the 500 people in my featured section to connect with them on LinkedIn, connect with them on Instagram, connect with them on Twitter. Like, people don't realize, like, I like to win. I like my friends to win. Like, ride or die, baby. Right? Like, if you join my squad, we're going to represent. Like, you just got to follow the golden rule and be nice to people, right?
That's what I'm talking about.
There's countless people. It's not even name dropping or bragging if it's true, right? So do you know how many people have joined, my site, and then their Instagram grew, or their Twitter grew, or their YouTube grew, or their LinkedIn grew? I don't sell any courses. I make a habit of not, like, people are like, people always tell me you should do this, you do that. No offense to anybody that sells books or courses or anything like that. It's not what I want. And I'm not going to talk bad about that, just like I want to talk bad about any job, right?
Right.
But I'm big into credibility, and the proof is in the pudding. right? If I sell an e-course, the second I put the tag on it, I'm inviting criticism, and well-deservedly so, right? Am I giving up the value for that money? Look, if I come on your show, and I don't charge you to come on your show, right? And then I go out and promote your show to thousands of people and get, let's say you wake up tomorrow, right? Or next week, and you got 20,000 views on this YouTube show, right? You're gonna be like, wow, I'm really glad I talked to that loudmouth, right? You're like, really, really glad I did that, right? But it helps you, right?
Right.
That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
It's bragging. It's ego filled. It's nothing but positive rays and sunshine, right? Here's the thing. I'm telling you it's ego filled. I'm telling you I like to win. I'm telling you I like to do this, right? It's something I enjoy doing. It's kind of like bragging. Like, yeah, I got you 20,000 views. What's up?
Love that. Love that.
Subscribers, because I rock. You know what I mean?
I love that. That's good stuff. The truth has set you free. Okay.
Some of those people hate me because I'm like that. Guess what?
Yeah.
Those aren't my people. And even if they are my people, they're not in the right mindset today at this time to be my people, right? So people are like, oh, you drive too many people away. Well, here's the thing, right? I might tell you to go away because your attitude sucks, but that doesn't mean you can't come back when you adjust that shit.
Yeah. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Life's short, right?
Yeah.
I shouldn't be adding stress to your plate. If I do, I would like you to let me know.
Right.
I'll sit there and be like, LaChelle, I shouldn't have done that. I apologize. This is what I heard when you said this to me. Is that what you were trying to tell me? Right? That's how adults should communicate. Am I right?
So true.
Right? How many times everybody say, how many times does somebody actually says, LaChelle, I don't know if I'm hearing you right. This is what I heard. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nobody teaches you that crap as a kid.
So true.
They teach you about classes and stuff that aren't going to help you in adult life, right? Like, I need to know what an isosceles triangle is. Does it stop the door?
So true.
I mean, I rather if I had kids, I don't have kids, but if I had kids, right? I want to learn about communication. Like, so many people are like, and there's such a fine line. I'm going to get myself in trouble. You try to get me off the show, and I know it too, right? But don't say gay Bill, right? I can see both sides. Okay. The problem with a lot of people is you can't see both sides, right?
Right.
That's the problem, right? One side, you're like, there's gay people. Acknowledge it. It just is what it is, right? That's true. Any kid turns on any channel on any TV or anything, you're going to see gay people.
Right.
You can't keep them in the car. You're going to see black people. You're going to see Chinese people. You're going to see tigers and whatever else too. It's on TV. I mean, we can acknowledge the fact that there's tigers and black people and white people and gay people, right? We can acknowledge that, right? But at the same time, do you really want people talking to your kindergartner about sex or gay, straight, this, that? You know what I mean? Like I said earlier, it's not just black and white. There's a little bit of gray there, and everybody wants it to be black and white.
Love that. I love that. That was a mic drop when you said, it's a certain mindset to see both sides. That is so true, because we get attached to our philosophies and we don't see the other side or want to acknowledge it. So I love that. That was a mic drop.
My buddy doesn't know what an @ sign is. He learned, right? But in 2016, he had no idea how to send an email. No idea what an @ sign was, right? And I was a little bit braggadocious. He's my buddy, right? Doesn't know anything about that. I'm like, I'm internet famous. I got thousands of followers on LinkedIn. I told him that for a week or two. It got old. I'm like, I'm a dork. I'm not gonna bring that up. Well, 2 years later, he's like, dude, you are internet famous. I forgot I even said that. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm gonna send you 2 messages from my cousin, right? Never met his cousin before. Didn't know anything about his cousin. And one picture was, I think it was Chelsea Clinton, the Clinton daughter, was on LinkedIn, and it was like Hillary Clinton, Mike O'Connor, Democrat, tagged me in a post. And then he sends me another text, and it was Donald Trump Jr. tagged me in a post. It was Donald Trump, Mike O'Connor, Republican. He's like, what side are you on? And you know what the truth was? At the time, I didn't have my website and stuff that occupy so much of my time. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like all things that come and go. So I was spending 12 hours a day on LinkedIn, right? Just not necessarily arguing with everybody, but expressing my points and really
Mhm.
focusing on the golden rule, right?
Mhm.
So what I determined, I don't know, you'd have to ask these people if it's true, what their reason was for tagging Michael Connor in these posts. Uh, but I was always talking about morals, right? And
Mhm.
doing the right thing or doing the next right thing. Like if you don't know
Mhm.
what the right thing is, do what you think
Mhm.
is the next right thing, right?
Mhm.
Like there's always the best answer, right? So
Yeah.
at the time I was talking about this a lot, and there wasn't like, everybody and their mother was doing video at the time. Like I was just
Mhm.
posting like YouTube videos and stuff like that. And both sides wanted to claim me is what it came down to,
Wow.
because like like I got in the Flint Michigan water thing. I
Mhm.
got, I got all into it with McConnell about that. Like I was big into politics for like 2 years, right? But it
Mhm.
came down and I got away from it because it's not where I want to live my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's I got my own. You got to pick your battles, right?
So true.
All those
So true.
politicians on both sides are crazy. You can tell them
It's
it's
crazy.
two two wings, same bird, right?
So
uh,
true.
you know, no time for that chicken coop. you know,
That was good.
you give people dirty water, I'll get up in your ass. But you know what I mean? Like,
That was too
I mean,
funny.
like we're in America, right? Like,
Yeah,
why don't people have clean water? Like, you want
it's
my vote?
crazy.
Give those people some clean water. What the
Yeah,
hell? You know what I mean?
so true.
Like, I'm one of those guys. I'm weird. I mean, I raised thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars for 33 kids in Guinea. Not to sound like a jerk, but like honestly, right? How
Mhm.
many people on LinkedIn do you think care about 33 black kids in Guinea? Do you know
Well,
how hard it was? Do you
it
know
is
what
hard.
tactics I had to use to raise that money? Blackmail and extortion. I have no problem saying it. I'm serious. Because I
Yeah,
was getting more likes than everybody at the time because I spent 12 hours a day. I say, hey, you want me to engage in your stuff? Give me $12 for the kids. Oh, I don't want to
yeah.
give you $12 for the kids. Well, I'm going to tell everybody you don't want to help the kids in Guinea.
Well, it is hard because, people out of sight, out of mind, people just don't understand.
Uh,
And, it's not until it comes home a lot of times that people begin to really understand, what it's like other places and seeing them without.
do
I
you
don't
know
know.
how I raised so much money for
Hmm.
kids in Guinea? You want
Go
to know
ahead.
the sad truth? It's sad, sad truth, right? They didn't care about the kids. They didn't care
Mhm.
about helping them. They just
Mhm.
wanted my likes and my engagement.
Wow.
So once I realized that,
Mhm.
okay, I mean, it took me a long time, even though I was like, just naturally pushy and kind of blackmailing people. Because I'll tell
Mhm.
people you're not helping.
Right.
I'll
Right.
tell people you don't care about those kids.
Yeah.
I realized, man, I'm peeing in the pool, if that makes sense,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
You can't ask people to go swim in the pool if you're peeing in it, right? And sure, I was trying to do a good thing, but my tactics and the way I was doing it sucked, right?
Mhm.
Even though I raised a bunch of money, I was being that telemarketer guy again. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I don't want to be that guy. Like
Yeah.
I can be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. Like I want to
Yeah.
be a good example. So that realization, uh, people have a hard time getting views. People have a hard time
Mhm.
getting traffic.
Mhm.
I've never had a hard time getting attention. It doesn't.
Mhm.
I figure out how to get mine, right? I just
Mhm.
do. Whether at one point I had 140 Twitter accounts or something like that. You know what I mean? A couple of
Wow.
them had 100,000 plus. They all got booted. So now I'm down to two. One for
Mhm.
my business, one for my personal. And don't mess around with it anymore. Learn my lesson, please.
Mm.
Twitter, don't do it again, right? But like I've done that on YouTube. I've done that with Instagram. I've done that with every platform out because this is what I like to do. I like to figure things
Mhm.
out, right?
Mhm.
So once I realized that nobody can get views or traffic, but everybody wants it, right? And
Mhm.
you're extorting and blackmailing people to give them what they want.
Mhm.
Like you could just make a social media site, even if it sucks. You're just so much better at driving traffic. Like you'll just start helping people drive traffic. After a while, you'll be driving so much traffic, everybody kind of knows about it. So
Love that.
when I told people I was making a social media site, everybody laughed, right? But they
Mhm.
didn't realize is I'm an ENTJ personality type. One, I don't quit.
Mhm.
Two is like I made a very big, long, detailed plan long before I told anybody. Like it wasn't like it's kind of like when I told people I was going to lose weight. I'm going to lose 180 pounds. Go fight in the cage, right? Like I did.
Mhm.
Like the second you lose 180 pounds, and I won an amateur championship belt from this big ripped black dude, Paul Amos, the silencer.
Wow.
If you looked at the picture of him versus, he was like the black macho man, like Apollo Creed.
Wow.
And I was like I was 205, right? So I was like just tall, skinny white kid. It was in a strip club.
Wow.
It was like 800 people in the strip club. Like my uncle, everybody. I'll never forget about it. He was everybody from the moment I agreed to have the fight. I was 2-0 or 3-0 at the time, and he knocked everybody out in 38 seconds or less. I watched his 4 fights. He just creamed everybody. He just it was all white guys too. Like he was known for beating up white dudes in the neighborhood. He beat up every white guy he fought. So I got in that cage, and it was in like South Holland. It was in a black neighborhood. Everybody in the crowd knew let me know I was going to lose, right? Mentally, I'm like, I am not losing this fight, no matter what, right? By the end of that crowd, I had the whole crowd cheering for me. I have friends from that crowd today, right? Isn't that wild?
That is something. I mean, I'm just the overcoming that you've done. I mean, I am just going on. Sherry even says she likes that comment about got to make a list of your mic drops, 2 wings on the same bird.
I got that from
telling you, that was a good one.
Ice-T said that, I think, or Ice-T said that.
Did he?
Ice-T, yeah, I give Ice-T credit, but like, I have an eidetic memory, right? So if I see something or that I like or triggers me, I'm like, oh, that was hilarious, right?
Right.
Like, I'll use it like later, and that's kind of like how I figure stuff out. That's how you
learn.
That's how I figure stuff out on Twitter and LinkedIn. That's how I try to track.
That's what they say. If you acquire some information and then you use it or teach it to other people, that's learning. So
yeah,
you're doing good.
That's I appreciate you. Coming from America's Supermom, I didn't know if you knew this beforehand, right? But every podcast that is like designed to be a half hour long, I always tell people, I told you before when we got on, I'm like, I'll talk as long as you want to.
Right, but this is a new trend. This has not been happening. If you were going back and watching some of those ones, there's only a few that are like over an hour.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do it to everybody.
30 minutes.
Like everybody's like, that's...
But you know what? It's a lot of people that are kind of scared to be on camera though, too. They're like, let me just make it this 30 minutes and get out of here, but they end up having a good time.
What's funny is I'm really natural and calm when somebody else is on that side. And when I'm the guy answering the questions, I get so nervous.
It depends on what side the people are looking at the camera on, because you might be on that side.
Well, I do Mic'd Up with Mike, right? And Lieutenant Oakland was my first guest.
Yeah.
I had to have Sia and Michael Ashburn join me because I was too nervous to interview Oakland by myself. So
see, I love that. You see that? Look, this is another mic drop. Because people, if you can't do it by yourself, get a team. Get somebody.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point, right? We rise together. We lift each other up. You know what I mean?
True.
Oakland didn't care. It got Sia more attention. It got Michael more attention. I felt more comfortable. Look, every day in our lives can be rough. It usually is rough in some way or another, right? But the more people you surround yourself, they're going to help you and pick you up. You know what I mean? The better life is going to be. You know what I mean?
True.
And like, I say a lot of things that get me in trouble. And like going back to what I said about that post with the thousands, only one SPN member, right?
Right.
I talk about everything, race, politics. Sometimes I say something like that just didn't sound right, right? And then I'll say it to a black lady, or I'll say it to a Jewish guy, and it'll be something about Judaism, right? I'm like, oh, that's so terrible. And they're like, Mike, I understand you, friend. It's good. Like, don't worry about it, man. I know who you are. Right. And like that just reconfirms like a lot of the things I talk to people about, right? So you take time to like get to know people and build that relationship, you get the grace that you hope to receive. You know what I mean?
So true.
You know what I mean? Like you just gotta be willing to open yourself up. You gotta be willing to give people what you want. That's
true. Well, look, we are going to save some of this content for the next time you come back. But this has been wonderful.
Promises. I hope
you guys heard it here. Look, I'm telling them to come back because you were in incognito for a while from podcasts. That's what you said before we got on here.
I took 3 years off from doing any of that. And then I got back into it for a while with Ira. We were doing speed networking with Mike and Ira. Some guys started masturbating on one, and some guys started struggling. I'm serious. So we're not doing any more live networking events. Thank you, people, for that.
What?
Yeah, go watch it. I'm like this on the video. I'm like, And there was like 9 of us on there. I was the only one that noticed for the first few minutes. So, and like I was like mid rant, like on something, so he didn't notice. So I'm like, Hiram.
Lord, that's
I'm like,
crazy.
oh, no more live networking events. One guy started gargling his Listerine. I'm like, what are you doing? When he was
That's
brushing his teeth, I was
crazy.
laughing. I thought he was joking around. And then he started
Lord.
gargling. I was like, are you kidding
Well,
me?
you know what? When some people are nervous, they don't know what to do.
He's like, I thought I was in the green room. Like, dude, nobody can smell your breath, dude. You're on video. How bad does your breath have to stink where you're worried about that? I like that guy. I'm not gonna name names. I hope he doesn't like watch it. Like, oh, I'm still pissed. Like, I know, but it's hilarious. You know what I mean? It's gonna be hilarious until the day I die.
This is too much. But laughter does the heart good like medicine. But
I hope I die laughing or asleep.
You are something else. This has been so much fun, though. So we really want to thank all of you guys for watching. Ira, Sherry, everybody who joined us today. This has just been a blast.
Thank you for opening up to me, too. I appreciate it.
Oh, you are so welcome. Yeah. You said you were open book, so I thought, hey, we might as well both be.
I should have said train wreck. And then you would have let me on.
Hey, we all got a story, as you said, Yeah. But this is a lot of fun. So we're going to have Mike come back again. We're going to get our schedules together, and you remember to take some extra time and make sure you have a notebook so you can take some notes.
Some people do that. That's
so true. But check out his site, SBN. You won't be disappointed, or Google it if you figuring out how to get there.
But thanks again. I picked the name is because it was really hard to rank for SBN. So obnoxious until the day I die.
I love that. Well, thanks again, Mike. And we look forward to you coming back again, okay?
I appreciate you.
All righty. Well, we will see you guys all on the next episode, and make some comments and let us know what you think. We'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.